Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe. So as usual, we're going to talk non-spoilery thoughts and description up front, and then we're going to jump over to the spoiler section where we talk pros and cons, and I'll give my general spoilery thoughts on the book as a whole. So with that being said, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's begin. Sufficiently Advanced Magic is the story of Corin Cadence, and Corin Cadence, 5 years before the story begins, his older brother Tristan went into what's called the Serpent Spire. Because in this world, there are multiple spires all over the country where if you go in and battle these monsters and solve these puzzles and things, and as seen as favorable by their goddess, you'll be given an attunement. And an attunement gives you access to different magical abilities. So everyone at a certain age goes into the spire in order to try the judgment. And his brother went in 5 years before the story began because he's 5 years older than him, and he never returned. So ever since his brother disappeared, Corrin has been preparing for his turn to go into the Serpent Spire, and he's been training specifically with the goal in mind to find his brother. So getting an attunement is, a major goal, but primarily he needs to, he wants to find any information he can about his brother. He just desperately wants to know if he's still alive. So that's pretty much all I can say about the story without getting into spoilers, because the story basically begins with him going into the Serpent Spire, and everything after that is a good reveal. So with that being said, we're going to close out here on the spoiler section. And I'll just end the non-spoiler section by saying I really enjoyed this book. The writing style is really interesting. The characters are really well developed and fun to read about. The entire setup of the world building, and the magic is really well thought out and really well described, and I really enjoyed it. It gives me a lot of RPG video game vibes, but like in a much better way than some other books that have come out that do the same kind of thing. So I really recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. So with that being said, let's move on over to spoilers. So spoiler warning for Sufficiently Advanced Magic. So my first pro has got to be the main character, Corin. So I understand that the main character is always designed to be pretty much the favorite character, or at least, your POV character. But I really like this character. I kind of relate to him a lot in a lot of ways. Like, he's very methodical and he thinks things through and he plans really hard. Like, I want to plan as much as he does. I think of myself as very methodical, but I don't plan as much as I would like to. But I strive to be as, thoughtful and well thought out and all that kind of stuff as he is. So I kind of see a little bit of my ambitions in his actions. So I think that's really cool. And I think Andrew did a really good job in developing him. He's a very different character than most other characters that I've read in pretty much in fantasy, pretty much in anything actually. So along with my pros, there are a couple cons that I do have. So my one of my cons will be the way that the story pacing kind of played out. The story began very fast paced, very like throwing a lot of information at you and stuff like that. And I kind of got used to it. I might be habitually getting used to beginning pacing instead of letting it play out more. But the way it was kind of set up, it reminded me a lot of a video game. And I kind of expected it to keep going in that direction. But once we get to the school stuff and him like just learning day to day magic and learning about mana and all that kind of stuff, it slows down quite a lot. And it's just slice of life kind of stuff. And while that stuff was very interesting and I enjoyed it a lot, it did, kind of just go. It was very melodic and it just kind of went along. And I was ready to get back to, sword fighting with monsters and, you throwing magic and all this kind of stuff. So it got to that point, but, I was just a little bored waiting for it to get back to the fun stuff. So my second pro is got to be the magic system. I am a huge fan of magic systems and world building, but this magic is really, really well done. It's really well thought out. It's very clear and concise, and the rules are very strict. And it makes sense the way it's fueled and the way like the limitations and everything work. I really enjoy it a lot based on that because I love like hard, strict rules in the magic system because it makes you, you have to think about the way the magic is going to be used, and you have to be able to be, smart enough to be really good at it and all that. So it's a lot of fun to see a character like learn the magic and like learn how to use it and stuff and become better purely based on like intellect and stuff. And the powers that Corin ended up getting is a enchanter's attunement, which is very mental based. So, but it's very powerful and very versatile. So I really like it. It feels almost like, underdogish in a way, but it's gonna. I know it's gonna just like net some really good stuff in the future. So I really dig that a whole lot. So in my second con, which will be my last con because I don't have many cons for this book, will actually have to be the way some of the reveals were written. There are many like heel turns and like flip reveals and stuff that happens in the book, especially towards the end. But some of them were either like like hyper telegraphed or overly foreshadowed. But like I saw some of them coming like as soon as the character popped up. As soon as some characters are introduced, I basically pretty much assumed and guessed right what their entire deal was, and it was revealed to be exactly that. So it was either I'm just good at this, or it's because it's written more towards the YA kind of end of the spectrum, or what. But I didn't care for the fact that I went through the entire story knowing exactly how it was going to turn out and then being right. So that kind of took me out of it a little bit. But I did still enjoy it purely, or not even purely, but mostly because I really enjoy world building and magic systems and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of, that made up for any other little issues that I may have had. And for my final pro, I have to say it's the writing style. And when I say writing style, I mean the way pretty much the way the dialogue is used and the way the story is told and the way progression works. So stories like this, at least ones that feel so much like a video game like this, in my experience, tend to just kind of be like go to the dungeon, set up, go do something else, go to the dungeon. So it's a rinse repeat kind of thing, and it starts to like really show in those kind of stories. But in this one, it feels much closer to something like Harry Potter. Like all of the learning, all of the classroom scenes and stuff from Harry Potter, it feels very much like that. And just like with one big like action type situation reveal that happens toward the end. So that's pretty interesting. It's well trod road kind of thing. It's something that's been done before, but it's done in a way with something that feels very different that like really kind of spoke to me. I really like RPG video games, so a book series that kind of has a magic system that runs in the same way, and it's very different from something like Sword Art Online where like they go into the game and like all that kind of stuff, or Lit RPG where like they're going into the game and like come out of the game. This is just a nature of the world that feels like a RPG video game. So I like that separation from it versus other things like Lit RPG and some of the other ones that are, very much go into the video game kind of thing. So that'll do it for my pros and cons. And let's just talk about some general spoilery thoughts I had on the story as a whole. So I really like the idea that being an enchanter was kind of like a downgrade or whatever, and like Corin wanted to be a shaper and whatnot, and I love the fact that like when he meet the older enchanter, the teacher, and like she's such a badass and looks like she's got every attunement and all this kind of stuff. I love that we're able to see like the potential of Corin's powers, and like we know later on he's got to get to that point. Like he's got to get to be an epic badass in that way, and he's definitely smart enough. It was already shown even before he got his attunement because the level of preparation he did and just thinking about all the kind of stuff, just the way it starts off in the beginning, just going through all the stuff he has. And like he was more prepared for just like a long journey than he was like a magical battle. It's so perfect for someone with that mindset to get an attunement like this. And I just loved it. It was really cool. I dug it a lot. And something else I really enjoyed about the story is the side characters. I really love Corin's sister. She's really cool. She's a summoner. She's got different kind of abilities than he does, and she's like a reckless little badass. And she just runs around, just ready to go, gung ho, just like powerful. And I love the kind of idea that like they are more or less new royalty, new noble kind of family and stuff. And like his dad is pretty much a POS, and he's kind of pinning Corin against Sarah and stuff. And it basically doesn't work. They like, just whatever, because he's kind of threatening to have her be the heir versus him and all this kind of stuff. And they basically just don't even let it like bug them. And they, through the stuff they go through over the course of the story, like they become much closer and stuff. And there's even a random situation that pops up that basically proves that they are siblings, because there was even a little doubt there whether or not she actually was his sister. So it was done in a way that's not, Maury or anything like that, but it was done like perfect. I liked it a lot, and I'm really interested to see where the story goes, because it just leaves on a really great cliffhanger with the whole Kara Silurian thing and all this kind of stuff. So I'm ready to see what's going on with it. So that's all I got for Sufficiently Advanced Magic today, you guys. And thanks for watching this video. And please hit that like button. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk to you all next time. Peace.